welcome to RealClearFetish Talks RealClearPlay. A live stream / podcast / YouTube thing that goes on here. This is the 5th season. We were supposed to have a guest tonight, but unfortunately, because of unfortunate incident, my guest can't come on because he has been massed report and he can't do lives. So he's been rescheduled for next month. But what I thought I would do is come on here and kind of do the first episode just me. And if anyone has any questions for me, just drop them in the question section or write to me here. And I'll just kind of answer them and so on. So we'll see how this goes. Because if you don't ask me any questions, this will be a very short live. I have already some pre-loaded questions, but for the fun of it, I'll ask my own question or answer my own questions I ask all my guests, because why not do to myself what I do to my guests? So, and yet again, I don't remember my own fucking questions, so I have to look them up. What do you prefer? I call you names, pronouns, and title. So to myself, my name is Ralph. Depending on the situation or if I'm in pub mode, I also go by Rocco. My pronouns are he, him, his. And I, yet again, depending on the situation, people call me Ralph. They call me Rocco. They call me Sir. They call me cunt. Whatever the situation might be. So I'm fairly flexible on that. So next, tell me a little bit about yourself. Well, my name is Ralph. I'm a recovering addict and kinkster. I've been doing kink since I was 22. I've been sober for 5 years and 4 months. And I started RealClearFetish, which is a Facebook group for sober gay, bi, queer and trans men. And I do this podcast, you can see here. And yeah, just try to live my life clear-headed, because the group is RealClearFetish, clear head, clear fetish. So I'm not out to judge on people who do indulge in chemical activities, because I used to do that quite heavily myself, and it got me into a lot of trouble. But I don't do that now. So I've just moved on. Yeah, so that's a little bit about myself. Yeah, next question. Completely sober, clear-headed, and or social drinker. I am completely sober. I do drink non-alcoholic drinks. I know that's for some people a problem. Some people it's not a problem. I always navigate depending on, is the person an alcoholic? I'm not an alcoholic. I went directly to the harder drugs. Did I drink non-alcoholic drinks when in my start of my recovery? Definitely not. I try to steer clear of that because it could be a little bit triggering. And of course, there's also the definition, depending on which country you're in, what a non-alcoholic drink is. Because if you go to Spain, it can easily be a 1%. And for me, that's a no-go. The max I go to is a 0.5%. But for some people, that is also controversial when you're sober. So it's depending on what you feel comfortable doing. What is the last question? What is clear play to you, and why is it important? Well, it is bloody important for me, because if you want to do chemsex play and so on, as long as you're safe and you know what to do and so on, it just can't be with me, because my brain works in the way that I would want to join in, and I can't afford that. I don't want to lose my clean time for a casual hookup, if I'm completely honest. And it's also like having your faculties with you when you play. especially with the type of play I get into. I like impact play, I like fisting and so on. And sometimes those type of play scenarios, you do really need to be there. And you're welcome to do what you want to do, but it's just not with me anymore. I can see you all on here. Let's see. Let's scroll a little bit through what people have said already. Let's see. Woof from UK Leather Bear, thank you very much. Hey Handsome from Leather Otter, thank you. Oif Woof from Fit Fur, thank you very much. Or I mean hello, of course. Hello. How are you doing? Always good to see someone in leather. I'm doing very well. I have to be honest, it's been a little bit of a stressful week. My work is changing. I might be moving. So when people ask me if I'm okay or I'm good, a lot of people kind of go, I'm okay. I try not to fall into that trap and just kind of going, do you know what? This is where my head is at the moment. Of course, I try not to overwhelm someone who's just asked a very fleeting question and might just want to move on. But I try to be as honest about where I'm at head-wise when that type of question comes up. Because I think we're very good at just going, oh, I'm okay. When you're in reality, you're not. And it's okay not to be okay. So this week has been a little bit stressful. Let's see what else. Wave back at some of you. Do you have a long leather trench coat? I do, actually. I don't wear it as much, and it's a little bit too big for me. So it's hanging on in my wardrobe at the moment. Let's see. For someone new but interested in the culture, what do you recommend? Find a coach. I would say if you're new on the fetish scene, come to some of the socials. I don't know where in the world you are. So if you're in London, there is the London Leather Social, which is the first Sunday of every month. There's the Gear Social, which is the third Sunday of every month. And if you're looking at your calendar right now, it's tomorrow. I am actually going tomorrow with a group of friends of mine. So if you are in London, come and join us. You don't have to be in gear for that one. So it should be a fun afternoon. It's it's the Gear Social tomorrow, which is mixed fetishes. So it can be rubber, sports gear, all sorts of things. So it's you're more than welcome to join in if that is the case. Let's move on. I come from a family of drinkers, so I've been teetotal now for 3 years. Well done. It's no mean feat being sober in Britain, because anything you do socially here revolves around a pub. So you saying you're 3 years teetotal, I commend you, because it's not fucking easy in this country. Well, it's not easy anywhere because drinking is so normalized. I still go into pubs and indulge in non-alcoholic drinks and stuff like that. But sometimes it can be a little bit of a trigger and can be quite hard being in those situations. You can see tomorrow the Gear Social is at the Welly. So yet again, a pub. But people are normally friendly and welcoming, and I can be quite honest about myself. Leather Quest says, good to see you. Good to see you too. Ooh, from Tron, thank you very much. Important topic that needs discussion and normalizing the topic. I'm not quite sure which one you were referring to, because I've kind of gone through a whole bunch of stuff. So if you drop me a question about it or around the topic you are referring to, I might be able to have a little bit talk. Yeah, it's the mass reporting is was quite annoying. I saw his message earlier today, and I was quite annoyed that has happened. I also lost my profile at the start of the year. My profile, this profile we're on now, was deleted. I was lucky enough to have a friend who works in an industry that could put in a ticket for me and actually get my profile reinstated. Unfortunately, in a lot of these cases, it's AI that's doing it. So it's really, really frustrating when it happens. In this case, the guest I was supposed to have on simply got mass reported, and all of a sudden his function to do lives was blocked. His profile's still there, but he just can't go live. What are your hobbies? I love Lego. I'm also so I collect like the adult set of Legos. So I like Star Wars and stuff like that. Lego. Kink is a big hobby of mine, and doing this is a hobby. I also am a massive movie buff. I have big TV, surround sound, all that. I really get into the technology behind it and make the best experience in your home. My flat is very much a mixture of kink and geeky stuff. I think a lot of kinksters are also geeks, because we like to focus on one specific thing and collect and so on. So absolutely. So I have quite a few hobbies. I'm in a very Republican state, so there's not a big scene. I'm so sorry to hear that. That is a bit of a hard one. Well, I will put an open invitation out. If you are ever in London, let me know, and I'm happy to show you around, because that's important. But if you are in the States, Washington, they're doing MAL this weekend, which is a good one to go into. If you're not doing kink before, doing the big events can be quite overwhelming, but if you can find smaller bars, I know you're saying you're in a state where there's not a big scene, but seek out the scene that might be there to start at least. I am sorry, it's taken a little while to read through all this. I hope you had a nice festive season. Sorry, you heard work a bit upside down. Hopefully you moved someone nice. Well, I'm not moved work, but my manager is developing me into a bigger role. I lost my connection. Did you answer my question about the long trench coat? Yes, I did. I do have one. It's in my wardrobe. How did you start your leather journey? I started when I was 22 in Aarhus in Denmark. A friend of mine, Michael, has had like a huge wardrobe where he would take all the younger fetish guys and dress them up in his gear, and you could borrow it and so on. There was nothing sexual about it. It was just, he just liked dressing people up, and he had a lot of gear. He was a really, really lovely guy. He unfortunately passed away a couple of years back of illnesses. I'm not quite sure. We weren't close, especially after I moved away. But yeah, he was quite a pillar of the local fetish community I was in there. And then when I moved to Copenhagen, of course, the fetish scene there is quite good. You have SLM, Copenhagen and Aarhus. So there's quite good opportunities. But I think actually my fetish journey started out in more worker gear and skinhead, because that was cheaper. So leather came on a little bit further down the line. Yeah, it's not easy by getting there. Yeah, it's not easy to be on the BDSM scene. If there is a lot of people who practice safe practices and don't do heavy drinking and alcohol when they play in chems and so on. So what you're saying is you've been on the BDSM scene since you was 19, and yes, you don't do chems for the same reason, safety first. Absolutely, safety first. Do I have a Lego Star Destroyer? No, unfortunately I don't. I mainly have the busts of the heads. So it's just literally the ones I have now is a Dark Stormtrooper, Boba Fett, and one of the white rider head busts, if you can look them up. Lego is so great. Have you seen Avatar: Way of Water yet? Yes, I went to see that at the cinema. It's the first time I've ever been nauseous watching 3D IMAX, because there's a scene at the start where you're in space and they lose your horizon, and it made my stomach turn. But I love the movie. It's very long, but it doesn't feel long. And the story is quite... Was it 13 years worth? I'm not quite sure, but that's fine. But yeah, it was very, very good. One of the most inspiring Leathermen on the scene. Amazing combo, handsome man. Thank you, Biker Dive. You're gonna make me blush. At the moment, I just feel like this is very much of a rambling conversation, but that was kind of the point of it. That's good. May I see you wearing the leather trench coat now? No, I'm in my jacket now. It's not a show and tell kind of thing, this. But maybe another time. If you want to see the leather trench coat, go to my profile, and there is actually a picture of me in it. Bill Sticker 19, your friend Michael sounds like he was a real ambassador for the community. This is something I would like to see happen more. Absolutely. It's not often you see people who have so much gear that can help out dressing up newbies on the scene. Rough Tank Top says, what do you want to achieve with this podcast this year? Well, it's depending on the different guests and what they bring to the podcast. Of course, the guest I was supposed to have on today we would have talked a lot about like pup play and safety practices. He's an educator. He's an OnlyFans person. He does porn. So there's a lot of things we would have dived into there, but that's of course for a different episode. So I don't know if there's what I want to achieve. I just want to have some really good guests on that's good representation of the leather community or the sober community, that being you are in recovery or you choose not to indulge. So it's just trying to vary my guests as much as possible for different backgrounds, different stories. As much information you can do. The more I sit and let them talk, the better, really, because there's only so much I can tell, because I've done this for 5 seasons now. So I'm looking forward to hearing what the different guests bring to the podcast and what feedback I might get from people listening to it or watching it. Cool. I used to do Star Wars costumes. I've always dreamt of getting a stormtrooper outfit. That's quite hot. If you could see the biker suit, it is actually modeled on a stormtrooper outfit, and I want to get a motorcycle helmet that looks a bit stormtrooper-esque and a pair of white boots. To be honest, that suit has been hanging on that door for maybe 5 years and I haven't worn it. I don't have a bike. So when's the new video coming out on YouTube? I've had the flu, so been offline for like 3 days. Well, this is the new video you're watching. I'm not quite sure if this has I might put it on YouTube. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this afterwards. It might just be a little extra episode and with a lot of ramblings from me to kind of start the season. It's been quite a long break from the last episode. And it's been quite nice to come on here and just ramble on a little bit. But as said, if you have any questions, drop them in the question section and I'll have a look at them. But let me go through some of the ones that were submitted. Because there was some interesting choices in questions, and almost some of them feels a little bit like, is that a threat? Are you doing Gran Canaria Fetish Week this year? I don't know. that is the honest answer. It's the question at the moment is simply a question of money. So I'm really hoping to. It would be my 39th birthday. It'd also be the celebration of me 6 years sober, so I would want to. But I really don't know at this point, especially with impending maybe a moving, and that might cost a lot of money. So I put up in my stories, I put up a little link where you could submit an anonymous questions, and I got approximately 11. So I'll do a couple, and if you add some more questions here, it's perfectly fine. What did you eat for breakfast? Well, I was up at 8 this morning. So I had a little bit of cornflakes because I need to take that with my anti-anxiety meds, which I'm quite open about. And then I was meeting with a friend where we actually went to a recovery meeting. He promised me free breakfast afterwards because I normally don't get up at this time in the morning. But up at 8, left the house at 9, met him at 9:45. And then we had the meeting at 10:30. It's one of the local CMA meetings here in London. It was a really good meeting. I really got a lot out of it, especially the chair. I'm not going to go into details because of anonymity and so on, but it felt like I needed to be there, especially with the stresses I've had this week. With my anxiety and fear about the future and so on. Thank you for saying that. You're awesome to see you live again. Thank you very much. It's been nice to have a break, to be honest. But yeah, it felt very important for me to be in that meeting. I shared about my stresses and the things about my work and so on. And so it's yeah, it felt right to be there. It was literally yesterday, an email popped in, and I told this in the meeting, because when my head gets a bit crazy, I start projecting what people might be thinking about me and so on. And there was this artist called Jessie, and the song is Nobody Hates You, which is all about how self-critical thinking can be quite... You almost abuse yourself more than anyone else would ever do, and definitely my head goes there sometimes. I'm normally quite a happy, bubbly person, but sometimes what goes on in here doesn't necessarily what you see. So the song and going to this meeting today has definitely helped to put things a little bit more in perspective and feel better about it. So what did I eat for breakfast was actually the question. Well, I have the full English, which my friend treated myself to. So that was quite nice. My question is, where is your favorite place to purchase leather? And this is on the Instagram chat that's come up from Christopher, one of my previous guests, our Doom Unicorn. Where are my favorite place to buy leather? I don't think I have a favorite place. Of course, I'm sitting here in a Langlix jacket. They do beautiful stuff. That's of course not in everyone else's budget. So, and it definitely is normally not in my budget, but it also took quite a few years to save up. So Langlitz is definitely, their customer service is top notch. Yeah, because the jacket was the wrong size when it arrived, and within 2 months I had a replacement jacket. So they are really, really, really good. So Langlitz is definitely top priority. If you're in Berlin, the gear store is very, very good. But they tend to sell other people's stuff. They do also make their own rubber and stuff like that. If I could afford it, Porsche Lingener in Berlin as well. Amazing stuff. We have Fetish Freak here in London who have their own leather tailor as well, which is, you almost need a map to navigate their store. It's quite messy, but messy in a good way. And it just gives the store quite a lot of charm, and it's a little bit off the beaten path. So if you're ever in London and you want to see a local store that's not in Soho, yeah, definitely visit Fetish Freak. You know, I think about you. You are an amazing human and you inspire me in lots of ways. Thank you very much, Christopher. Yet again, please don't try to make me blush. And my head might get too big for my shoulders if I keep getting these type of things thrown at me. This is why I asked. I love my Langlets. They're amazing and awesome people. Yes, Christopher, they are a family-run business. And it's a very tight-knit crew. So, yeah. Anyway, next from the link with the questions is, have you any Netflix recommendations? I should maybe have specified when I asked for questions through that link. There's like, maybe make it a little bit more relevant to like kink and sober stuff, but there it is. Netflix recommendations. Not at the moment. Well, Wednesday. I really, really love that show. I think there's great representation in it. It's really well acted. The script is great. Tim Burton has perfect. And I'm really glad to see a second season because I'm always quite nervous about starting a show on Netflix because they seem to axe everything really, really, really quickly. But another recommendation I would say, but not on Netflix, is on Apple TV, which would be Severance. If you like sci-fi and things that are a little bit off the wall, absolutely watch that. It's so good and quite surprising. Christopher says, oh, that's my goal. I'm all about making you blush, and that is see how handsome you really are. And Harry Males is waving. I wave back. Well, if you're going to make me blush, then I'm just going to make your ass red with my paddle. Is that a deal? So that's my recommendations when it comes to watching stuff online. Next question. Single question mark. I am single. I've been single quite a long time. I had a boyfriend for a little period of like 3 months, but that didn't quite work. UK Lover Bear says, paddle, yes, please. And I'm just like, no, it's not yes, please. It's yes, please, sir. Thank you very much. So, yes, I am single, and it's not a lack of trying, but it is what it is, and the right person will come along. I do have a couple of people on the radar. But the problem is always a little bit of distance between us. Christopher, again. Oh, sober-related questions. Do you ever leave or stop a scene due to others drinking? Well, if I'm in a scene with someone, I tend to not want them to be drinking whilst we're in the scene. If you're out and about in a bar and so on, I'm not going to tell someone not to drink. But if they're really, really drunk and can't stand on their feet, I'm not going to engage with them because they're there, I'm here. So it's not going to work. Anyone coming to my house, I prefer not any alcohol. They shouldn't be on drugs. And I don't do poppers, so I tend to not want them to be doing poppers, but I can be a little bit flexible on that as long as they keep it away from me. So no, I haven't stopped the scene, but I've never needed to stop the scene because I have quite a lot of boundaries on that. Paddle, yes, please, from UK Lover Bear, of course, but still no sir, though. That's a deal. I fly to London anytime, says Christopher. Well, you're always welcome to London. Let me know. Cancer Fate Productions, do you have a preferred toy vendor? I do have toys, but I'm also rubbish at using them. I use them on pups and boys and stuff like that, but I'm horrible at doing play or ass play on my own. It is something I want to do more of. It's just doing it on my own. I'm a little bit lazy when it comes to all that. So I don't really have a preferred. Actually, Square Pigtails, really good brand. So yeah, I do have a preferred one actually. Square Pigtails. My apologies, director. Oops, sorry. I mean, yes, sir. UK Lover Bear being cheeky. Christopher, do you ever struggle with sobriety? I know that one day at a time process and mentality. If I'm completely honest, and it is something I've talked to friends about, around my 5-year recovery date, which was in September last year, I had a period where all of a sudden I started hyper-focusing on using. I didn't know where it came from. It just started happening. It was a little bit scary because it would get stuck in my brain and it would be around injecting, which is a part of my story. And I had a period of maybe a month where that was a problem, and I was a little bit scared for my recovery, if I'm completely honest. But it literally, yet again, it's a phase, and then I moved on and my brain was fine. But I think what helped was I had friends I could talk to quite honestly and openly about this. So even 5 years and 4 months now down the line, I still, on occasion, will struggle with my brain and what it wants to do, especially around drug taking. So yes, I do struggle sometimes. It gets more infrequent now, absolutely, but it does happen. UK Leather Bear, sorry sir, I enjoy a good paddling. Thank you, sir. That's a better tone. I appreciate that. Next question. Someone sent, everything okay? I think I answered this earlier in the live, really, because I said I have my stresses and so on. So I was reminded today just to keep it in the day. I don't necessarily always do 12-step. I dip in and out, to be honest. It's not necessarily a big part of my recovery. It was at the start, it's not now. But some of the teachings are definitely very important and very valid in any point in life, really. So keeping it in day, one day at a time kind of thing. And what can I control? What is out of my control? A lot of people say people, places and things. It's things you don't really have any control over. So so the question, everything okay? For the most part, this week has been a little bit hard. Tron on the chat says, I like to use toys, but no one near me that would do that I would do that with local to me, and sometimes with play I end up in pup headspace. Yes. And there is a part of me that really wants to find someone close to me to explore more around fisting, because I'm a fisting top, but I have taken fists in the past on occasion, but it's always been on drugs. And it is something I would like to explore. I just haven't found the right person to do that with. Christopher, I really appreciate how open and honest you are about your mental health and sobriety. I think when you go into recovery, you really need to be open about it. Of course, you get to a point where I think at the start I was a bit more careful about what I said, because you don't want to come off guns blazing with this is how crazy I am. But in general, yeah, I'm okay. But yeah, I tend to, the way I make my mental health work is to be able to talk about it. If I don't talk about it, I'll go crazy. So, next question. Your worst habit. I'm quite bad at replying to texts because I get distracted. I was diagnosed with, not that this is an excuse, but I was diagnosed with ADHD last year, which explains a lot of things. A lot of people's like, well, you're not hyper. Well, I'm internally hyper, and you don't know what goes on in my head normally. So I wouldn't say I'm an obvious ADHD candidate. I'm also quite high functioning. I've had it since I was a kid, but I get distracted very, very easily. So text to me is sometimes they can go like a week before I reply, and I realize I haven't replied and I feel really bad about it. But then reverse that. If someone texts, if I text someone and they don't reply to me right away, I get anxious. So it's a weird one for me. Christopher, we need more of that in the kink world, more of us that can talk about it and be honest. Absolutely. We do need more people who can talk honestly and open about it. So worst habit, bad at replying to texts, or get easily distracted. I probably have other habits. I'm also a horrible sugar fiend. So I switched crystal meth out with sugar. So I'm sure my dentist is not happy with me. Well, they're happy because I'm paying them. So sugar and quite easily distracted. So I'll take one of the questions in the question section. There we go. And that's from Nicole and Connor. I'm going to my first pop ADL event. Any advice on a first event? Well, if you're going with people, have some people to check in with. That works at any event, really. Make sure you have a safety net. Make sure you have an exit point if you need to leave, because it can be quite overwhelming. I don't know what you've tried. I'm sure you've tried pop play and ABDL play outside events before. So I would say, depending on your personality, expect to be overwhelmed, depending on how big the event is. But yeah, have a safety net, have people you can check in with if you need to, and remember to have fun. For that is the main thing, really. Hope that answered your question. Christopher, again, okay, fun question. What's your favorite look to wear? Full bluff, no doubt about it. But I know what outfits work for me. Full bluff works for me, skinhead work for me, and scally look works for me. So those three, that is the three types of outfit I feel the most comfortable in. Absolutely, but full bluff, hands down, is my favorite look. And then there's, I really want to get a VK79 uniform from Berlin, because that is also one of my favorite looks. And one more question from the question section here on Instagram, and that's from Bill Sticker 9T. Do you ever indulge in electrical play or electro play? I used to in the past. I had a little bit of a bad experience. I'm not blaming the person, but we were playing with butt plug in my ass, electro, and he put it on voice activation without telling me, so I started yelling. And ever since then, I've kind of lost the taste for it. So I haven't really indulged it for a very long time. At least maybe 7-8 years. But if someone came up that knew what they were doing and wanted to reintroduce me, I'm happy to do it. Nice, and I will freely admit you look good in your skinhead gear, says Christopher. Thank you very much. It is one of my favorite outfits. Montra Levers, would be cool if you can join us in Barcelona in the Lever meeting. I would really, really love that. I would love to come to Barcelona at some point. Yet again, travel, money, it is a bit of a problem. I really would like to travel around to all these events, because I feel like I could at least supplement something, at least around the sober stuff, but I just don't have the money to travel to these events. I really wanted to do Darklands, and I know they are doing a session on controlling chemsex, which I think is so important and so amazing. They are doing that, but I can't afford to be there. I really would love to be there, but no money. I'm having a hard time filling up super funny questions. Are you wearing pants or are you relaxed? I ask because I usually don't go full gear when I'm sitting down on lives. Do you know what? I'll indulge you because I knew this question would come up. So I wore full kit today, as you can see. I'm not doing my RuPaul thing like I normally do, where I'm in full kit at the top and a pair of tracky bottoms on the bottom. So Sean is saying you do look amazing in leather and skincare. Thank you very much. Glentex, I'm not sure if I'm saying that profile name correctly. Do you have any experience with chastity? I've tried chastity and I fucking hate it. Do I enjoy seeing boys in chastity? Absolutely. Just not on me. I do not like it. But then again, I don't like anything near my balls. I can barely wear a cock ring because my balls are just so sensitive. So I don't particularly like chastity stuff. Leather Gentleman ISI. Hey, sexy brother. Thank you. Hi, sexy back. Nice look at you. That made me smile. That's why you're freaking awesome. Thank you very much, Christopher. You got a little show from me showing my full gear. Another question from the link I uploaded on my stories is someone saying, I know what you did. I don't know if it's a threat or it's... There's a lot of things I've done. If it's someone that's angry with me from when I was using, I'm not excusing my behavior when I was using. I was probably a bit of a dick, and I'm quite open about that. So it's yeah. I don't know who sent this. I know what you did. I love the film. I know what you did last summer. So I'm a little bit like expecting an unmarked letter in a couple of days with cutouts on words and stuff like that. But yes. Then I got another question, which I felt a little bit like, are you judgmental? On the link again on my stories. I'm not judgmental, but I say that, and of course, everyone has pre-assumptions about things. So, can I say I go through life without being judgmental? No, I can't. That's the honest answer. I try to be a better person. I try not to pre-assume what a person is about, from either by the look, background, whatever. So I try not to be judgmental. I think that is my main thing, really. So I'm not perfect. So I try not to be judgmental. I think that is the short answer to that question. Then on the chat, live, love the flag code. Do you usually flag when clubbing, going out? And what's that like? I do tend to wear at least my fisting flag, because I do like wearing that out, and it signals what I'm into. So, but then again, red is my favorite color anyway. So that's not necessarily. And what is it like? Yeah, it's. You're surprised how many actually know what the different things mean. There's also very much a discussion around, it's like, if you wear a chain around your neck with a padlock, are you owned? I do wear a chain and I do wear a padlock, but I own by myself. I'm not owned by anyone. That position is open. I'm very open to the idea. But I do sometimes wear it because purely it looks nice. And I'm sure someone's going to disagree with me on that. I shouldn't be wearing a chain with a padlock if I'm not owned. Another question on the chat. Do you wear boots tonight? I am in boots at the moment. I'm in a pair of Westco boots, but I'm not quite sure if you can see that. There you go. That's the boots I'm wearing at the moment. This is my first time watching a live video from UK Leather Bear. Well, I'm hoping it's not. I hope this lives up to your expectations. Do you flag other colors? Yes, I flag black for SM, because I am a bit of a sadist. I on occasion will flag yellow, but it's not my main fetish, really. But it's primarily red I flag. Level Gentleman says, quite hard to listen to you, sexy, without becoming horny. Really horny. Well, I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you very much. Do you also wear cowboy boots from the chat? I don't have any. I haven't been brave enough to get me a pair because I like the leather jeans inside the boot, and cowboy boots you go over the boot really. I just haven't been brave enough. I do like them. I'm just trying to keep up with everything that's going on here. So, surprising question. Was there an event that was a turning point to be sober? Yeah, absolutely. A couple of days after my birthday in 2017, I had my first drug psychosis. 16. Was it 16? Yeah, 16. I had my first drug psychosis where I lost my marbles and did not know what was real. And this is also how my mother found out I had a drug problem. So that was not the time I became sober, but it was definitely where I made a decision to something needs to change. And I realized how scary it was. I had the police out, I had an ambulance out. It's a whole story there. But yeah, it's not fun with drug psychosis. UK Leather Bear. I've never been fisted, although I fisted guys. What advice would you give a fisty newbie? Patience and relaxing and breathing and lots of lube, and feel comfortable with the one you're with. Not do a random hookup. You need to talk through it, because you can really hurt yourself if you don't do it properly. Thank you. Would love to worship those West Coast, sir. Leather Gentleman ISI says. Sir is with a capital S. Thank you very much. I do have a preference on that. Glad Leather. You should definitely give them a try. I bet you would look very nice in cowboy boots. I really would like to do a proper cowboy outfit. But being in the UK, it's not something we see very often. Next question. I'm trying to do these questions and you're asking me questions on here. Best kink event you've been to date? Folsom, San Francisco. Not so much for the kink, but more for the community feel of it. And then, of course, Folsom, Berlin. But my favorite event, and I haven't been for some years, is Berlin Easter. I've always loved that event, and that is not my first fetish event. It was probably my second fetish event I ever went to. But I love going to Berlin. So it's Easter in Berlin. It's just you can't beat it. So if you want to do an event that's over a week with all sorts of kinks, come for Easter in Berlin. I'm sure you're going to see someone on a cross somewhere. Next question. Have you ever been to Helsinki? No, but it is definitely on my to-do list. I really, really want to go to Helsinki at some point. I know a couple of people there. As someone from the Nordic countries, it feels appropriate to go and visit that country at some point. So it's definitely on the list of things I want to do. Next question from the questionnaire from my Insta stories. When a sub and a dom play, do you think the dom has a responsibility to make sure the sub has a good time? Absolutely. The dom needs to make sure the sub is comfortable. Be able to check in. Aftercare is so important. This is what it comes down to with sober play. If you're with a dom that's drunk, that's not going to work. They need to have their full faculties. If they've had a drink, fine, but it can't be plastered, and you should be a little bit nervous around that. But it goes both ways. Of course, the sub is there to make the serve feel good. So, two-way street, I think, is a good answer to that one. I'm sure people will have different opinions on that, but I do feel I feel very responsible when I have a sub here, to make sure they're having a good time as well. Push boundaries, but not over their boundaries. And if I do push a little bit over, make sure I pull them back, check in with them, make sure they're feeling great. And actually the last question I found on my link thing, while we all have regrets, if you would go back in time, what one thing would you do differently? It's a really fucking hard question, and it's really, really, I try not to have regrets, especially around my sobriety. Would I like to have avoided some of the messiness that brought with me, and some of the scared stuff that happened with my family and how I scared my mother when it comes to my sobriety? Absolutely. I would have liked, if I could go back, I would have liked to have more control over how my mom found out I had a drug problem. But it is what it is, and it probably also motivated me to be a better son to my mum. So I wouldn't say a regret, but well, yes, a regret. I regret that my mom found out from me that I had a drug problem in a drug psychosis. Not the most fun way to find out. And she was quite scared. So yeah, that is definitely a regret of mine. Has it given me something to learn from? Absolutely. I think sometimes when we want to go back and change things, you will also lose the lesson. So I try not to regret things. There's definitely actions I can be a little bit upset of what I did and who I said it to and so on. But you also grow and learn from these things. So if you live with a life without regret, you don't learn anything. So last couple of questions. We are running out of time. This has gone a lot better than I thought it would. And I've been really, really entertained being on here and chatting with you all. What is your favorite piece of gear? Favorite piece of gear? My Langley's jacket is definitely on the list. I love my mirror caps and leather gloves. That is the three kind of main things I really, really enjoy. Tron has said, I've been to Helsinki 3 times, soon 4. It's a great city. Oh, well, very nice. Nicole Connor, how do you find out about all the different kink events and weeks? Is there a specific page like for prides, or how do you find out all the details? Well, there is Lever Traveler. I think it's Lever Traveler. Someone on the chat can probably correct me if I'm wrong on that. Because they post a lot of the different events around. But it is mainly, if you want to go to a city in a certain time, just try Googling the city and fetish events, or ask people in that area, and they're quite happy to oblige the information for you. Unfortunately, there's no central location for all this information. Bluff is good at announcing Bluff events on their site. But yeah, Fetish Traveler is a good one. Ever gone into therapy? I have done therapy in the past. I've had experiences with that. I still want to do more. I think everyone should be in therapy in some way or another. I've had good and bad experiences. I think as an LGBTQ plus person, doing therapy, especially if it's something that's supported by the government, you get allocated someone and they might not know the lingo. So that can be quite frustrating. But yes, I have definitely done therapy, and I would like to do some in the future. And I'm at the moment working on getting some ADHD management course. With a grant through the government. It's not an easy process, but I am getting there. So, and it's all supported by my work. So I'm quite happy. Where did you get your meerkat from? It's lovely. I got this one from Spexter in Munich. They do the best meerkats, I think, but they are approximately 165 euros, so they're not cheap. And I'll just answer your question, Christopher. Where did you get your cap? That's my next edition, but need to find a good place. As I said, Spexter in Munich is a really, really good place. Good customer service. But then again, you're in the States, and getting in something from Europe can be quite expensive. But yeah, my mirror caps, I have one in silver and one in gold from Spexter, and they're very good quality. So it's yeah, that's where I've got mine from. I also have one completely black one, which I got from a shop in the States. Woody something, I can't remember right now, but it was made specifically with my design in mind. So we are getting to the end of the chat. Did I have any other questions? Oh, I do actually have some other questions. Oh, I've already done that one. I've already answered those questions, so that's fine. Stop. Anyway, so Max Gay saying hi. If you're joining the live, I'm about to end the live. So, but it's been really nice to talk to you all, and hopefully I've answered some of your questions the way you would want them to be answered. As you can tell, I'm a fairly open book, so I share what goes on with me quite openly, and I think it's important. So it's that being kink, that being mental health, that being sobriety, and so on. So my next episode is coming next week, and we are actually going to a place a little bit outside Manchester. And I will be publishing who my now first guest of this season will be. So I will be posting that tomorrow. So you will find out tomorrow who my guest is. And it's someone local for once. It's not in the States. You have a lot of sober kinksters in the States, so it's easier to find guests over there than it is in the UK. But actually my next 3 guests are from the UK, so I'm really excited about that. So if anything I've said had triggered anything, give me a write. You're more than welcome to. I'm happy to answer your questions in private messages, so please do write me if anything has triggered anything, has upset you, or made you smile. I am more happy. My DMs are always open. So I'll see you in a week's time for the first official episode with a guest. I really enjoyed doing this Q&A with you, and hopefully you've gotten something out of it too. Now I need to shut up and actually relax the rest of my evening. So yeah, thank you for coming on and sharing your questions and your comments and making me blush. So it's been really, really fun. So play safe, play clear-headed, go out and have fun. That is the main thing. And Happy New Year, as this is the first live of the year. So I'll see you next week. Bye.